My name is Yaku. Behind the camera, as per usual, is Demaya. This is my workshop. This is the place that I do my work. We filmed that, we put it online so that you can maybe find something in there that might help you in your manufacturing, set work, engraving, all that type of wonderful stuff. Today's ring is a platinum ring that I've made, and the last part of this ring is for me to set the stone. The customer wants talon claws on this. What are talon claws? They look like talons. Why do we do these? Because they have a little bit more direction to them, a little bit more refinement than a normal round claw. I've seen some videos on different methods of making these. This is the way I do mine. If you've never done these before, basically, it's a lot of fun. Let me show you what I've done. So the ring itself I made in platinum. I filmed the whole thing. I will show you exactly how I made this, but we thought we'd show you the set work first because we're getting a lot of requests for setting. And this particular setting is a unique type of setting. It's not just folding them and rounding them. It has a little bit more something to it. However, I'm going to treat the seating of the stone in exactly the same way. I go about creating some sort of a basket. In this case, it's decorative. Diamond needs to lie on top of it like a little bed. And my intention is to take those wires and compress that diamond downwards so that it squeezes it onto the bed. The thickness of the wire needs to be the right size, scaled up to the specific diamond that you'll be using in your set work. We know the stone needs to lie on top of this little bed. In this case, it's not a bed, as I pointed out, it's points. If you're looking at the diamond and where it's going to be touching or making contact, you have the girdle coming up, and this point over here, it's typically about 1 millimeter above the actual bed or the resting area of the diamond. I like to cut, if you're looking at the diameter of the actual wire, 1/3 into it so that I have 2/3 of mass to hold the stone. I do a little groove. The best scenario would be that if you place the stone in there and you click it in, it's sort of seated there so that you just have to bend these wires over it. When you're placing the stone in the inside, you might find, because we've built little walls, it's little plates essentially we've made the setting with.
Don't worry about that.
Little plates that we've made from the setting. There's still going to be areas where the diamond comes in and touches. I'm eliminating that. I'm not making that little bed thinner as what it needs to be, but I'm also, just where the diamond would touch, I'm removing the little bit of metal so that the stone lies nice and flush. Everywhere where it touches, just lightly work out the inside, and then so that the stone can be seated where I want it to be. I'm now ready to take those claws and bend them over. It's pretty much that simple for setting a basic setting 4-claw setting, and in this case it's just a little bit more to work on, a little bit more to talk about, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm setting 4 claws with needle nose pliers. That's what I use. Why am I using that? Because a needle nose pliers, when it opens up, supports the opposite side, so that when you bend this down, this side is supported with the diamond holding in between. So I can put pressure here at an angle, so I'm not coming in at this angle, I'm coming in at this angle, and I'm bending the top wire, and then from there go in the opposite direction. In these kind of claws, you want to leave them higher. You want the length of the claws to be higher, because you want to actually fold those claws right onto the diamond, almost touching each other on the other side. I'm trying to get more access over the stone's girdle because there's going to be some sort of feature we're going to be cutting there. Once I've folded them down, I'm having another look at the side of the stone from this direction and from that direction to make sure that I'm perfectly straight, which I'm not. Because I haven't set, I haven't cut, I can now open up one of those wires again. Let me put it this way. If the claw's over here and the stone's lying like that, you want to, obviously, you've got too much pressure on the opposite side. So you lift this one away and put more pressure on this one to correct the stone, and then bring this one back to make sure that it's seated. I'm fine tuning it up until the point where the stone is absolutely solid. When I'm at this point, I press all the wires down and then again check, make sure that everything's fine. Now we can go forward and cut the claws off. I'm cutting them off just around by the table of the stone. I'm leaving this excess of wire. Again, excess I can work with. From here onwards, I'm going to start shaping them. And if I want to make them shorter, I can use the little facets that the stone's already been cut, providing the stone is cut correctly. The facets should be quite mathematical about it. Balance is quite easy to find if you've got a facet. So if I've got the table over here and I've got one facet coming down and I've got a claw over there, I can file down one facet and go to the opposite side and do the same. If my stone is balanced, that's how I can get my lengths correct. So I'm pressing it down, now I'm filing them down to the area where I want them to be. I don't want them to lie all over the stone, but I want them not to be just a little ball on the edge of the stone. I want them to lie slightly over the stone. So I go about halfway down. The wire sits on the stone like this, it's sitting at an angle, but I'm not looking for that angle. I'm looking for a flat angle at the top that has a point downwards. If I work with this angle, it's not going to give me the shape I'm looking for. The talon shape is sort of like a nail coming around holding something. All the tops of the wires coming in at an angle, I'm going to flatten that up so that I have this profile which I can then shape into the shape that I need. It creates a better visual idea of how to get to a point. I'm now going to shape the sides to the middle, and I do this by using a little needle file. I'm respecting the length, I'm gunning it towards the middle, and I'm giving it a slight rounding. Now I'm going to start concentrating on the front part of the claws. I want the points that I've just created. I want them to press down onto the stone. So I'm pressing down on those front points because we can't have them sticking up. They're just going to be grabbing things. The effect is that you have this flat claw coming down to a point and then it goes down onto the stone. So we're going to press down and force those points right down, and as I do that I distort the metal a little bit again, and then once I've got that distortion I just clean it up again. So I want to make sure all of the contact points are doing what they're supposed to do, and then we can get into the fine shaping. I hope that this type of thing inspires you to try it, at least if you haven't done it yet. And if you have done it and you've got a different idea of doing it, comment section. This is a community. I'm not telling you what to do. We all learn from this. People read the comments and then they have conversations in the comments. More like a little forum. I use this Steve Lindsay graver blank, so this has not been cut into shape yet, and I know we've been asked to talk about the engraving side and the sharpening, and we will be doing that as well. This is a blank. It's a very strong piece of steel and it has a small flat edge. You're going to put a lot of pressure on a very small area, so it's all about control. Don't use a big thing that's very slippery, because you can slip and slide and bend claws and break stones that way. We don't want that. You want to try and create something that has the ability to take this energy you're putting on a focused point and have control over that. So I find these little graver blanks work absolutely perfect for that. Remember, I'm not setting the whole stone. We've already done that with the back of a plier. I'm now focusing the front point right down onto the stone itself. There's a gap. If there's a gap in this little area, you'll have things hooking in there. I have a flat profile at the top, but these aren't talent-like things. They don't resemble a talent so much as what they do small triangles or little arrows. This is a talent set, so we're going to make it look like a talent. I'm taking the flat profile that I've created and I'm dealing, if I have to turn it towards you again with a point like this, I'm dealing with this side, and I'm now going to break those down to a point, right down to the bottom, creating just about a point just before they touch at the top. It's not going to do anything about the strength, because the strength is already on top of the stone. I'm not taking any of the thickness away, I'm not taking any of the top away, I'm just shaping it now from there to there to give me more three-dimensional effect, which is what talents usually are. I've seen like on vampire movies, when they have talents they look like that. Nobody walks around with a flat nail. It doesn't make any sense unless you're a cartoon character, which we're not. Trying to give it to be a little bit more of a realistic rounding to it, very lightly, respecting everything here. So I don't want to take anything from the top, I don't want to take anything from the side, but where it's created a little angle, because I filed the angle into that now, I'm softening that out. I've seen before that this has been done by gravers, and I've done some of those myself as well, where it's far more sort of like clinical lines, and I like those as well. But in this case, if you notice what the ring is about, there's a lot of flow to the ring itself. It comes up from the bottom, it moves to the top, and I wanted that to be a part of the whole setting. All the shaping is where I want it to be, but it needs finesse. It needs to be rounded off. Remember, we've got to polish these things, and a polishing machine versus platinum is not going to set any kind of lines on it. You've got to work it off. But I can't bring anything like a really heavy rubber wheel or something into the whole equation, because a rubber wheel will just take and start messing with my shape. I'm using these teeny tiny little velour Swiss files. I start with the number 4 and then I go to the number 6, and the number 6 is basically pre-polished. It's that fine. It allows me to keep the shape that I've just done and accurately clean up the corners. Metal, when it folds, also bulges out. I'm addressing those issues now. Wherever I can do some refinement, I do with these tiny little files. If you look at this ring, it has points to it, it has rounding to it. I'm reflecting the points by doing the point setting at the top. I'm reflecting the rounding of it by rounding those talon claws. The design is the main important thing here. These rings do exist, right? the size of the stone, the customer speaking, they all develop their own kind of character, their personality. It's like being a human being, where we're all human beings, but we're from different places of the world and we look different, we sound different. We're all human beings. This ring has a certain style, but because it's come through my workshop, because this particular customer had to ask for it, the design itself developed into something personal. It's great being back. I'm glad we made it through this hacking thing. I mean, another video altogether. I hope that you find something that helps you over here, because if I was younger and I'd be watching these videos, it would have helped me. I guess, like I say to everybody, I make these videos for myself when I was younger. These are the questions I would have had, and if any of this stuff makes sense to you, great. This kind of ring was amazing to make. We were given some sort of a graft, and again, we're doing a video on this entire manufacturing process, and I'd love you to watch that as well. So keep your bell notification going, because it's coming up. Till next time, cheers, bye, thanks for watching.